it was really, really fun, and they got to see that, learning can be...
See your excitement and that people
you
can be
can
excited when they learn. Okay, welcome.
Hi, we're back.
We are back.
It's late at night because that's the only free time we have right now. So I'm going to get this started. I am going to talk a little bit today about what's some homeschoolers call detoxing, is when you bring everything into the home and you start preparing for homeschooling.
Detoxing, it sounds wild.
Detoxing, it's actually should be fun.
Okay.
So what detoxing essentially is so when you bring your kids home from public school to transition to like a homeschooling environment, you take a certain amount of time to detox and get a groove into your homeschooling, and it's basically where you just all the schoolwork and all the academics you just place to the side, and you concentrate on making your home an environment that supports learning and can support those academics when it's time. I've heard of like a formula you can use to kind of gauge, and it's different for every family, and you know your family best. But for every year that your child has been in school, take about a month off. So if you bring your 6th grader home, 6 months to detox and work on relationships in the home. And
so during that time, are you doing like almost no school?
So yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you want to do school because it's fun, go ahead. But it's really, so it's like a puppy. I'm not going to compare the kid isn't the puppy. The schoolwork is the puppy.
My kids sometimes are puppies. Like actually, two of them crawl around as puppies.
Yes,
much of the time.
They just did that before she told you to go to bed. So like when you get a puppy, you can just grab the puppy and bring it home without preparing for it first.
Okay.
And that will be a very stressful situation because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have food, I don't have a leash, I don't have a collar, and you don't have things to support.
We actually almost did that tonight. We almost came home with
I
a puppy.
I was mad that you didn't come home with a puppy. I wanted to see it.
None of those things.
So, a much less stressful way to bring the puppy home is preparing your house for the puppy first. So you have everything ready to actually bring the puppy in, and that's kind of like schoolwork is the puppy in this instance. So you prepare your home and you have everything ready. You have like good routines, you have good relationships, and then you can bring in the schoolwork on top of that foundation.
So in that time where they're not doing any formal schooling, do they not fall behind during that time?
Well, what do you mean by fall behind?
People often have this idea of, I have to keep my child on track. I don't want him to fall behind. And the idea of not doing school for 6 months or 2 months or 8 months can be scary. Like, ah!
And well, it's not like you're just sitting around and letting them watch TV. I mean, you're doing stuff. You're actively preparing your home for this new path that you're taking. So it's a good time to evaluate where you are and where your kids are as far as like relationships and if they are behind in certain subjects when they came, whatever your reasons for pulling your children out of or deciding.
So maybe spend a little bit of time kind of evaluating where they are.
Yeah, just evaluating. Them. You have to have a baseline.
Okay. Because with them being in public school, maybe you don't have exactly a baseline yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, hopefully you have an idea.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention to your kids, but maybe not as solid of a baseline. Mm-hmm. Okay, so looking for...
So just take stock of what you have your baseline, and then... start setting goals. So it's like, where do we want to be in 6 months? Where do we want to be in a year? Where lots of families do a weekly interview with the kids, saying, how do you feel where you're at? What do you feel you aren't getting from, you just have an interview with your kid. And then you take your own notes about what you feel that they need during the week. So you look at that, and then, then that's the time to, build up good, healthy relationships with your kids if there are problems in that area. And then lots of people say take out the screens entirely, and I know for 6 months that would devastate us,
especially if your kids weren't at school all day.
I know.
And
yeah it's really hard.
I hate screens, I'll be honest. My kids have to earn screen time, and it certainly has a place, and I also won't lie, as soon as my kids go to bed, I end my day by plopping down on the couch with some sort of snack and watching a show because that's my like filter
decompression.
But my kids get so cranky with screens, and it turns into fights over, no, I want to watch this show, no, I want to watch this show. So I certainly can see some good value in no screens.
Right. Just taking or limiting screens like we do. Like I have a certain amount of time for my kids to do whatever they need to do on the screens, and I do as well. Although those Korean dramas had me in their clutches for a long time.
Kind of like when you get into a new season of Full Dark.
Yeah. You just have to watch.
There's some shows you have to just go full force.
You have to
full steam ahead.
Get it out of your system. Anyway, so have books around the house. Read out loud to your kids all the time. Like have books everywhere. Go on hikes and just kind of just strengthen and bolster up the family relationship that you have. Start learning. Start doing schoolwork yourself. Find something you are interested in and let your kids see that you're learning. Like I picked up Korean for some odd reason. Those Korean dramas. I picked up Korean and the boys would see me, studying on the YouTube videos and Duolingo, and it's like, oh, she's doing Korean again. I'm like, I'm on the double consonants. It's so exciting. And that was it was really, really fun, and they got to see that learning can be...
See your excitement and that people
you
can be excited when they learn. And that probably is really important too, especially when people come out of public school, because in public school learning is so much like, learning is dumb, learning is lame, school.
Yeah. And especially if they might be struggling, it might be just plain old miserable.
Yeah, but seeing someone have a positive and a sought-after experience with learning, it probably certainly sets a strong note of positivity.
Yeah, that's a good word. So that's pretty much what detox is. It's just creating your baseline and then creating the foundation on that, and then you can start bringing in the academia. That's the word, right? Academia. Yeah. Yes, academia.
Academics.
I homeschool my kids. You bring in like the education, like the
core subjects.
The core subjects because of course in your foundation you're just learning other things.
Right.
But as long as there's that forward motion, then you're not just stagnant.
Right.
Sitting around watching Avatar. So, do you have any questions about detoxing?
So I actually never did detoxing. I mean, I guess I did, but I didn't. It took time for us to kind of get our groove. Mm-hmm. But I only had the one child who had been in public school, and I didn't even know what detoxing, I didn't even know that was a thing when I started my homeschool journey. It's something that a lot of people who transition to homeschool talk about. But anyways, we didn't really transition. We didn't have a detox period because I didn't know what it was at that point. I kind of it took me 4 years to decide to homeschool. But I didn't do too much research because I didn't want to know. And so once I made that decision, I just kind of dove right in.
Mm-hmm. And that's all it is just finding the flow and making things as easy as possible when the schoolwork actually comes back in.
And that probably is easier when you have good, solid relationships.
Yes.
In your family.
Yes. Yeah. Because you're the mom all the time. Yeah.
You don't ever get to leave that. 5 o'clock comes around. Goodbye.
No, it's if you don't have a good, decent relationship, learning can get difficult.
Yeah.
Because you're just
butting heads all the time.
And so any more questions about detoxing? I got most of my things from the Leadership Education Facebook group. They are a wonderful, wonderful community.
All right, we'll see you later.
Bye.